Good evening, LFB crowd. It is the Lakers Fast Break Nightcap with Joe Soro and Gerald G. Glassford, fresh from Hawaii, Maui, and all the islands there.
Hawaii
And
strong, brother.
and and El Sombro will be arriving now. He had to step away a little bit to go fondle some things, but
He's
he
there
is
now.
back. He is back. Uh, we just witnessed an absolutely dreadful game. I don't know about you guys, but that was probably one of the more boring games I've seen this year. The Celtics beat the Mavericks 105-98 to go 2-0 in the 2024 NBA Finals. And to say that this series is over, I think it's still a little early.
It's over.
Why is it over? Why? 'Cause
Dallas
it's
is just
2-0?
not getting it in. Dallas,
Series,
They're not going to win 4 out of 5.
how do you know?
just not good enough, Joe.
What the hell is that you're drinking?
Five Alive.
Anyways, so the nightmarish season is starting to come to a head here, folks. What I was fearing a little bit is looking like it's going to come true. Although I'm still going to give Dallas a shot here. They're going to go back to Dallas for game 3 and 4. If they win both those games, things can get interesting. The Celtics have yet to be challenged in this series.
What's up, Mike?
And it's time to we're gonna have to wait and see. We're gonna have to wait and see. If obviously Boston beats Dallas in game 3, it's likely gonna be a sweep or in 5. And then at that point, we're gonna have to sit back and wait for the Lakers to figure out what their next step is. Now, by then, we're gonna have an idea of who their coaching avenue is gonna be at. And as of right now, from what I've been reading, I know we've been impatient, and this is a segue to the topic at hand here, guys, is the Lakers are helping the NBA right now, as well as Mr. Hurley, and not announcing anything today because they didn't want to take any shine from the finals. I would like, now that the finals are over, and I know they're going to do some press conference stuff now, maybe within the next hour or two, can you make an announcement now? Would that be okay? Because then you can follow Monday with it being that thing. Now, the other question I have is, let's say Coach Hurley says yes. Will that then make game 3 a secondary story in the NBA? Gerald, I'll ask you first.
Well, if that's because he's going to make his decision known on Monday, whether or not he is going to commit to the Lakers job or stay with UConn. So it'll blow up all on Monday. That the question is, will the residual effect be there on Tuesday? And if Dallas chokes again, like they did today, and
Was this a choke?
they had a chance. They had their opportunities, and Luke, you can't have Luka Doncic play that good of a game outside the turnovers, and shooting wise, 32, 11, 11, and the rest of the team decided again not to show up, especially Kyrie. Plus your 3 and 4, PJ Washington and Derrick Jones they're playing like the guys I thought that they were for most of the year, normal rotation players, instead of stepping up like they did in the playoffs, which is kind of concerning because we saw Rui Hachimura do the same thing last year when he was outstanding and played well above his head in those first 2 rounds, and then reverted back in that Denver series when it really needed him the most. So I really don't have much confidence in Dallas getting more than a game out of the rest of the series.
Sean, your assessment
Go ahead, Matt.
With it not being muted, please.
I got him because I mute him when he's doing the caterpillar thing on his.
I don't really want to hear the excuses. I just want to hear what
shut
Sean
up.
says.
I would say...
I miss saying that. Shut up, Joe. I miss it. Aloha.
I would say it wouldn't overshadow game 3, Joe, just because, I mean, it's I'm not a huge fan of this NBA final schedule. You have two full days off between games 2 and 3. So it's not until June 12th that we see game 3, and that would give the NBA writers and the community at least two full days, maybe 2.5. You want to be fair to write about it. So I don't think it would overshadow game 3. And secondarily, well, while I'm in agreement with Gerald overall about the series perhaps being in the bag, um, I'm also willing to acknowledge that depending on whether or not Game 3 goes a certain way, if Dallas ends up winning both games at the American Airlines Arena, then it's anyone's ball game. I just don't think they're going to be able to do it. I think it's going to be a split. And Gerald may be proven to be right that they just go back to the TD Garden for game 5, and then that's all she wrote.
So, in case no one knows, Game 1's ratings were the worst since 2021, Game 1.
Yep.
And no one's very interested in this series, it seems. And I'm going to guess that tonight's game might have a little bit better rating because it was a Sunday, but I don't know by how much more. So at this point, especially with the Celtics winning the game, are they going to say, well, we'd rather have a Lakers story out here because its finals suck and it's likely going to be done by the end of the week? So is that essentially what's going to happen here? Now, the other question I have is, what if he doesn't come? Then what? Are we going to go after Jay Wright, like we've been begging for the last couple of years, or are they going to stick with JJ Redick and his analysis of the game? What's the situation there?
Well, it's not going to look good. I mean, if the Lakers don't get Dan Hurley, and thank you, Dan Newberry, Sports Highlights, for the big shout out and the super chat. Truly appreciate it. He says Kyrie's about to be 0-14 and get swept. It's rigged. LOL. It won't look good if the Lakers don't get the job done again, like they 20 years ago when they couldn't get Krzyzewski. And then you got to come crawling back, Joe. You have to come crawling back to JJ Redick, the podcaster. So,
Sean,
how bad does that look? Go ahead, Sean. I'll plug you now.
I'm not sure how much veracity you can put behind the Jay Wright rumors right now. Mark Steins, he can hit a home run or could swing and miss. So it's a report coming from him. But I'm also leaning towards the Joe camp here. I mean, if you're going to offer Hurley a sizable contract, Jay Wright's only 62. Why wouldn't you offer him a 4 or 5 year deal? Anywhere from 7 to 10 million. I mean, Jay Wright's you could argue he's been more successful at a program with lesser expectations than Hurley had. And you wouldn't be wrong. That being said, I don't put much veracity behind it at all. I think Jay Wright is perfectly comfortable being a studio analyst and getting paid. I think correct me if I'm wrong, Drill. I think he gets paid over $2 million by CBS to do that gig.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't see any reason for him to leave the booth. There's no pressure. gets to come and go as he pleases. It's his schedule basically. Although I'm with Joe, I would love to see Jay Wright as a Lakers head coach. Just seems we're stuck with Ding Dong.
He's
I'm
over
gonna
60
I'm
though.
gonna say
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this. I am not going to denigrate the Lakers if Hurley is not coming this way due to his choice or whomever's choice. I'm also not going to fault them for not being able to get Jay Wright either. Those are the coaches that they needed to go and see if they could get. Whether they could, I don't know. I don't know if this $100 million offer is legit. I don't know what's real anymore. But let's say it is. Let's say it is. How the hell are you going to fault the Lakers? You offer somebody $100 million to coach. You're obviously going to be the highest paid coach in the NBA or close to it or whatever. I don't understand how you fault the Lakers on that. There is no bigger close than that, in my opinion. It's $100 million. So I'm not going to sit here and criticize the Lakers if they don't get him, if indeed that is the offer. Now, if we end up finding out that the offer was 4 years for 40, is that a bad offer too? $10 million a year? That's a hell of a deal. But if these talks, which with Hurley are legit, obviously, a phone call to Jay Wright, we've been talking about this. We said this. Go after these guys. This is what we need. And what makes Jay Wright and Dan Hurley different than most college coaches like Jim Boeheim and the Williamses and all those guys? Well, these guys actually run a pro-style offense, and they were very successful in it. Overly successful. They've won multiple championships. And not only have they won multiple championships with it, they dominated when they won, which you don't really see too much in the NCAA tournaments. Usually it's I feel like the last 8 to 10 years, you saw some dominant teams. Villanova in 18, obviously UConn the last 2 years. You saw some really dominant teams, and the results were what they were because of it. The question I have now is, what is the backup if you don't get those two guys? Is it really J.J. Redick still? Is that really the fallback guy? And I'm not going to say that couldn't mean something good, because we got Frank Vogel as the backup guy. Lakers ended up winning a championship 9 months later. So we can't really sit here and continue to criticize when things are doing well. We criticize when things are not being done well. This is actually good. They thought outside the box. They try to get somebody that had some cachet, maybe some energy to change the culture up a little bit. And again, if they cheaped out on it, that's one thing. But it looks like they're not. They're not cheaping out on it. They're actually overpaying. And if it still doesn't work, it's obvious why it didn't, because maybe these guys don't want to coach in LA. They don't want to be on the West Coast. For those of you who don't know what's going on in California, especially in LA, it's not really a good place like it used to be. It used to actually be a good place. It's not lately. And I was there just a few days ago. I mean, I was
there
bad.
this year as well.
It's not bad. I mean, it's manageable. The area we were in was nice. LA Live, you're sitting on a nice, second story area. You can see some nice views. But when you get down, you're parking in areas that smell like urine. I don't remember them smelling like urine like that. You have graffiti on top of buildings. I'm not talking about walls. Buildings and levels. And when you come from an area where there's law and order, and you go to a place that doesn't really like to do that on a regular basis, you're not going to want that for your wife and your kids, not for any money. So that could play a factor in it. That could be a factor. And they have cleaned it up a little bit, Gerald, from what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that they've cleaned up some of the stuff.
I was there earlier this year.
But they have a lot. They have a lot
Still a lot
to
to do.
They have a lot to do, and I'm going to take a wild guess that at some point they're going to have to go, scorched earth on it at some point. Otherwise, you're going to start seeing people not stay here. I mean, Stallone left for Florida. Everybody's leaving. The guy you guys were talking about, Glenn Powell, he left for Texas. This guy was just about to become a movie star. Part of the
He
Big
still
Ten.
can, Joe. He still can.
Yeah, but it's like anything else, G. If you're going to live in Texas, it's a different mentality. You got to be in it. You got to be.
Chris Hemsworth lives in Australia, for goodness sake, and he just flies over to wherever you need him. So
I guess when you become a movie star, you can
unless you watch that new movie Civil War, Joe, where Texas and California are on the same team, which makes no sense.
That's the idea. That's why he.
Well, if aliens hit America, we would be, wouldn't we?
Independence Day. Yes, you're right.
So we've discussed the finals. I'm gonna wait till after Game 3 to assess what's gonna happen there. I'm not there yet. We gotta wait to see how Dallas responds in Game 3. And right now, as far as the Lakers positioning on the coaching front, I would like to see if they could make some kind of an announcement tonight. I hope we don't have to wait till tomorrow, but maybe it might be early tomorrow.
I think he's going to wait. I think it's going to wait until he gets to address the team one way or his UConn team. Meaning,
okay. So to address, is he going to make the announcement after he addresses the team? You think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because remember, they have a morning shoot around. What about 6 a.m. on the West Coast time around there? Let's say 9 a.m. Eastern. Yeah.
Okay. And then at that point, it's either I'm staying or I'm going to Hollywood.
I want to know what the offer is. I want to know what the true offer is. I don't want to hear whatever's been reported, 10 years, 120 million, or 10 years, 100 million, or 8 years, 96 million, whatever. I want to know the true monetary offer, Joe, so we can get a good idea of exactly how much the Lakers are overpaying in this case, because they are overpaying. They have to overpay in this case in order to get this guy to come here. So I want to know how much commitment they have to getting Dan Hurley here. I want to know if it's just like a $5 to $7 million offer, that's not going to get it done. If it's a $10 to $12 million offer per year, then might be impressed. So
okay. So let's talk the scenario here a little bit before we find an answer, because I think this is the only time we're going to be able to ask this without wasting our time. If he arrives, if he says he's coming, what kind of impact is he going to make right out the gate?
That's the problem. That's the thing. We're still based on the team. Remember, it's still based on the players that you have. Go ahead, Magic. I'm sorry. I had to put my 2 cents on there.
It's okay, Joe. I was going to say, it'll be seismic.
It really, you think so? You think so?
Not at the start.
But it's,
not at the start.
Oh, no. I know. And I understand, because we discussed his process and his offense. It's going to take a minute to get used to that, right? Kind of similar to the triangle, right? They needed some time to kind of get that going. But
you know how an earthquake can start a tsunami? Think about it like that.
Okay.
I told you, it's like his offensive system is very complicated. It's good. Joe, pay attention. His offensive system is very complicated, and it's gonna take a bit to get going. But if we hit the ground running with it, it'll just be a couple months, and then it'll be a groundswell. I really do think it'll be an earthquake turning into a tsunami.
Gerald?
I think with Dan Hurley, again, it's great that he's going to bring a different type of feel, a different type of platform. But Joe, when it comes right down to it, again, it's still the players on the court. Can Rob build a team that's going to make any coach, whether it's Hurley, whether it's Reddick, whether it's Borrego, whether it's what was said in the chat, Kurt Rambis, whether it's Phil Jackson returns, Jerry West comes back through that door. It doesn't matter. What is the team that's going to be built around this team? Because this team right now cannot get it done. I have to say this ad nauseum, but I will still say it. This team, even if you get D'Lo and LeBron back at a more expensive rate, I might add, much more expensive rate, this team cannot take you anywhere you want them to go in the Western Conference. We're talking about a 7th place team, Joe, right now.
He needs
I
at
think
least
you guys are getting ahead of this. You guys aren't focused.
He needs at least 2 years to implement the system and the personnel he wants.
Okay. So the Lakers want to get a 3rd star. Are you guys on board with that?
No.
If they get a 3rd star, that means they're likely not rolling with what Hurley wants. Do you believe that?
Mm-hmm.
So now you hire Hurley. Hurley's going to go, let me decide what I want to do at 17. Is the 17th pick going to be a viable rotational player?
At best, that's a questionable.
At best, yes. At best, that's in a bad draft, the 17th pick, you will be very fortunate if that's the case. I mean, look at last year, Joe. We had the number 17 pick last year, and look where that got us.
And I'm trying to also understand, I'm glad you brought that up, why Zach Edey keeps being thrown in at 17.
It's a name. It's a name, Joe. Remember, the Lakers are all about names.
Okay. Why did Dan Hurley say that it would be a mistake if you don't draft this guy in the lottery? That's not a good sign.
When did he say that?
It was some interview I saw online.
No, how long ago was that? I saw the interview, but I forgot. I didn't know how long.
I didn't look at the date, but I saw it a few days
I'll
ago.
look it up. I'll look it up.
So while you look it up, I'm just going to say that when it comes to, remember, he's very biased, Joe, and he only sees.
See, I don't like that. I don't like that kind of stuff.
But that's all he sees because he sees that level at the college. He doesn't do.
No. That's bad. It's bad optics.
No, Scarlet Blue. It is true that he did make those comments. I just don't know what was he already talking.
Seriously,
to the Lakers?
Scarlet, I made it up. Why would I make it up?
Yeah. Bloodhound, again, I'm not convinced on Zach Edey just because the size and the lack of speed. He would be. I mean, you see tonight, Porzingis, when he is healthy enough, he is really good to helping anchor their defense. When his calf hurts and he's slowed down, you saw them getting by on the offensive end and started putting up layups. Zach Edey and Donovan Clingan, both these guys, Joe, not just Zach Edey, Donovan Clingan as well. They have to be quick enough to be able to go ahead and defend at the perimeter, at the rim.
Okay,
let me ask you this.
Gerald and Joe, I just posted the quote, and ladies and gentlemen, Joe can't remember verbatim. Nobody can. But here's what Hurley said exactly. He said, and I quote, "If Zach Edey is not like a lottery pick and a tremendous NBA player, then there's something wrong with the NBA."
Yeah, but
that's high praise, but also let's not forget about something here. Purdue handled UConn pretty well, and Zach Edey handled Donovan Clingan pretty well. in a Big East game. So that's Hurley kind of just paying homage to Edie. That being said, Zach Edey is not going to be an NBA caliber player for very long. If Bryant Big Country Reeves couldn't get a second contract in the NBA, and by the way, he did get a second contract, he just didn't play through it. If Bryant Big Country Reeves couldn't play more than 6-7 NBA seasons, there's no way Zach Edey will be able to play 5 or 6 himself. These big guys who are very tall, however, they don't have the conditioning or the stamina, don't last. Ladies and gentlemen, the Milwaukee Bucks decided it was a good idea to trade a kid named Dirk Nowitzki for one Robert Tractor Trailer. How long did Robert Trailer last in the NBA, fellas?
I think 6 seasons.
Yeah. And he played about 12 and a half minutes for his last 3 or 4. So these big guys that have a lot of pub because they have a good tournament or they have a good year, as Gerald said last year, Edey was at best a second-round prospect.
Michael Anguano said, because he comes on here and talks about the Cavs. Cavs legend Robert Tractor Trailer, mind you.
Robert Tractor Trailer, yeah. When your nickname is Tractor, that says a lot about your stamina and your conditioning.
Yes.
Great comment, Michael. But I digress. But yes, Joe was correct. Hurley heaped praise on Zach Edey. But I think that was just an homage to his game, Joe, and the fact that he took care of UConn this year.
I do want to give a shout out to Robert, who did, to let us know that Bet Online is betting 80% that he does take the gig. And that he said, ask yourself, gentlemen, what is it that Dan Hurley is going to know tomorrow that he doesn't already know today? He says he is taking the Lakers job and letting UConn know tomorrow in person. So we'll see.
I tend to go towards the fact that this is a respect thing, that they're allowing the NBA Finals today to take precedent in terms of the NBA news, the obvious post-game press conferences as well, and then you have Monday. That's an off day for the NBA to then allow that to be the day that continues to be NBA news, and it'll be news from, let's say, if they decide to say at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Pacific Standard Time, whenever, that would be an all-day thing. It'll be a 12, 15-hour, 16-hour cycle. And looking at the current setup of the finals right now, you have the next game on Tuesday, so maybe you'll have dual stories of maybe Dallas winning Game 3, and obviously the Lakers doing what they're doing. You got to get everything you can here between now and July, because as soon as August hits, the NFL will pocket the NBA and every sport on the planet and put it right up their keisters, and then you're not going to hear from any other sport after that for about 6 or 7 months.
I just want to say what Michael has to say about Monty Williams. He's saying that the Detroit Pistons, because they did get a new person as far as their head man in charge of the whole operation, as far as the GM is concerned, that they will fire Monty Williams after the Lakers pick their head coach. I know that his team, Cleveland, has a opening, Joe. And if that's the case, that would be very funny. Monty Williams having like 6 years of pay. You don't have to do nothing for 6 years, Joe, and get paid $10 million plus a year doing it.
Well, yeah, that's nice and appealing, but
I don't think Detroit will do it.
When you can buy everything at some point, what do you do next? How many vacations are you going to take in a 12-month span?
I could take a 6 year. I just came back. I could go.
Yeah, well,
love to do that.
Pay
me $10 million, and I'll be glad to do it.
Yeah, no. Again, like I said, everyone thinks that they have their next 50 years planned, but it's not. most people want to work because they're productive and they stay alive. Otherwise, you shrivel up and die.
You could do announcing. You could do a lot of different things. Just not.
Monty Williams doing announcing for what?
I don't know. You could do something.
We already
else.
have enough bad announcements. I mean, the whoever decided to hire this cast here, the finals should be fired. Doris Burke is horrible.
Monotone.
I mean, just absolutely horrid. She was great as a sideline reporter, but terrible color. And she's getting worse and worse. Mike Breen must be in an island in his own mind. They should bring back Mark and Jeff. They work best with those.
Well, you know something, Joe? I think he does all right. He's got that big fat contract from MSG and the Yes Network. And he does get to work with Clyde Frazier half the time.
Yeah, Clyde Frazier is he's probably worse than Doris Burke in my opinion. So I don't know. Mike Green seems to be a company man, and he's like Gerald. As long as he gets paid, he'll do his thing.
I try and be very perspicacious on the.
You're paid me $10 million. That's different.
I try and be very perspicacious on the show. I would need a thesaurus sitting.
Define that word for the audience who don't know what that means.
It means you have a very extended vocabulary.
Good word. Next time, keep. It needs to be germane to the topic.
That's pretty good, Joe. But so what are the odds that you guys give Hurley and the Lakers offer right now? Just balls of bone odds. 50-50?
It's 50-50. It's as 50-50 as it gets.
50-50, Gerald?
50-50.
I have no idea. I'm right in the middle. I have no idea. And a lot of that is because I don't believe anything. We know he's
It's
coming.
the right attitude.
It's the safe route in a lot of ways, but it's not. It doesn't. This came out of nowhere, so I can't figure out. First of all, if we knew for sure he was offered $100 million for 10 years, I would then go probably 70-30. He's going to take it because I'm like, how do you not take $100 million contract?
That's what I want to know. I want to know exactly what is the offer for this coach. I want to know, is it the true numbers that are out there, or is it something less? If it's something less, then maybe that's why he's pondering it. If it was like 10 years, 25 million, maybe that would do it instantly.
Yeah, I mean, Gerald, that's 100% accurate. I mean, if Anthony Irwin's tweet is to be believed, and the contract, no. And the contract,
ask him to do an ad read.
Yeah, was in the range of 8 years, $100 million. He would have already made up his mind.
These insiders know nothing.
They know nothing.
They've already shown that they know nothing on this situation. Absolutely nothing. I have zero faith in them. Joe, this is the one enjoyable thing. We may have egg in our face or on our face this time tomorrow if Dan Hurley refuses the thing. But the only thing I can say that's enjoyable about this whole situation, Joe, and you pointed it out while I was in Hawaii, that the Wojs, the Shams, the Buhas, the Trudells, the insiders, all these guys that you watch out there, everyone, and trust, the Laker Nations, everybody out there that says they have an inside on this had no clue at all. Shams has been totally quiet since he screwed up with the zeroing in on JJ Redick deal. Yeah, that was totally good. And everybody, I was kind of upset, guys, that we were not on that day when everybody said that, they were zeroing in on it and everybody else had their shows and everybody had their glory and whatnot, but they were all proven wrong. Everybody that posted that we couldn't because Joe was busy and I was busy too. So I'm glad in retrospect now, because we look much better than they do right now going forward.
And this is why. This is not to be a bunch of braggarts. You like that?
Why can't we brag? Wait, we have a right to brag every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
But I use the word braggart, not brag.
Okay.
That's for Sean. That's for Sean,
Mm-hmm.
Sean the Thesaurus Grace. It's got a nice ring to it. What did we say 2 months ago?
Well, let me just say this. Hold on. PC says Woj is the great newsbreaker. Yes, he did write the book for Father Dan Hurley, Dan Hurley's father, but he was suckered into this too. For 2 weeks, he was led down the association as far as with
Woj was the newsbreaker. He hasn't been for at least 2 years.
Remember, everyone, he was talking about, how the Lakers, with JJ Redick, how they remind him of Pat Riley. Remember, he threw that out there a week ago. Yeah. So no, all of them, including Woj, was burned by this.
He is a mouthpiece.
BDA. He said that the Lakers were very infatuated with JJ Redick, and
Woj is not a Laker friend, folks. We don't know if he's lying.
Woj has also become one of the most pettiest reporters in America.
Yes, because his ego went up, right? Because of the Woj bombs. And what happened is when he started sucking at it, because either information was being withheld to him, whether there was a media change the last few years, which it was, there's been a media change. There's not as much finagling anymore because everyone's so afraid to be judged and insulting people. And
I will pull it up. In fact, okay, Lakers intrigued with JJ Redick for a head coaching vacancy.
Okay, so let's read that again, Gerald. I want to teach people the art of BS. I could have used another word, but I'll use a safe word.
Well, let me go through his tweet.
Go ahead, say it. I'm gonna explain it.
Lakers intrigued with JJ Redick.
That basically says something, and it also doesn't say anything. It doesn't say it's a scam word. It's a fluff word. They're not saying the Lakers are very interested in JJ Redick as a head coach, because now somebody from the Lakers, we never said that. Intrigued could mean, well, they might have talked, and that could be intrigued. These are scam words that I can relate to everyday life. Let's see here. I'm in California. We're talking about California. When you hear somebody say fair share, they need to give their fair share. That is a scam word. What is fair share? What the hell does that even mean? It's an open-ended comment, like anything can be interpreted from what's fair share. Sean, you made $100 an hour doing something, right? And somebody comes up to you and says, you need to pay the people around you their fair share who helped you. What the hell is that? What do you mean fair share? What the freak does that mean? That's what those words are. These guys.
Do they have any dirt under their fingernails?
See, fair share. What's their interpretation of fair share? No, if somebody comes to you and says, "Hey, man, that person," let's say you were a server. Okay, you're a server. You earn $100 of tips in this hour. Somebody comes up to you and says, "Hey, man, that busser, that bus guy, bus girl, whatever." Dude, they clean like 5 of your tables in that hour, man. You should give them at least like 30% of your tips. Okay, got it. Not, you should give them their fair share. Mm-hmm. Right? Same difference. All these guys, Woj is only good, Shams is only good for, I've been saying this for 2 years. They're good to find out who signed, who got traded 3 or 4 seconds before you find out anyways. That to me has no value. It used to have value. There used to be value with these guys because you'd be sitting there one day and all of a sudden Woj comes out with, hey, Durant wants to go to Phoenix. He wants to be traded out of Phoenix, or he wants to be traded out of Brooklyn. Really?
It's like Joe said, it's a very unique situation, and just to add a little bit of spiciness to it, Shams has the stink of FanDuel all over him. They sponsor his television show. he does work for them. So a lot of what people think about Shams now has changed. He's gone from the guy who got Woj's cup of coffee to actually being a hedgehog and working his way up and getting all the draft picks right within a pick of one another for years. And now, as Joe has alluded to, it's gotten to his head too, and more so than the others is, um, the ties to the betting companies have really stunk up his reputation.
Well, he does deserve credit, Sky Dweller, that he did break this particular part of it, but he was also at the front of the train talking about Borrego, talking about how the Lakers are intrigued with JJ. So now, mind you, he didn't use the infatuated line that Shams did, or the Riley-esque ones that Sham and Jovan Buha, put in there, and then the zeroing in. Shams went overboard on that, but it was clear that Woj was in on this as far as leaning. He has said on TV several occasions that the Lakers were, that JJ Redick was at the head of this interview process, Joe. So
yeah, and we're not giving Woj credit for this. I'm talking about what he's been
for 2 weeks before that.
Yeah, he's been terrible.
4 weeks, actually.
And all of them have been terrible for the last 2 years.
If you look at it, 4 weeks, Joe, on YouTube right now.
This was the first breaking news, real breaking news I remember Woj having in 2 years. It's been a while. And whether Hurley comes to LA or not is irrelevant to Woj. Woj broke it, and here we are. And we know why, because he's got connections there. And that's ultimately what... Now, here's the question I have, actually. With that, are the Lakers sitting back when this announcement came out from Woj going, damn it, somebody leaked it? You think that's what their reaction was?
Well, I think the timing of it was obviously to take away, if they was shown by the Lakers that they took away from the game one pizzazz and all that. But
wouldn't that be something they would want to do?
From a negotiating standpoint, it sped up things. It forced the Hurleys to come out to LA this past weekend, and it forced the Lakers to go ahead and commit to a meeting on Friday to give a take it or leave it offer, that he's going to take it or leave it on Monday. But I think the Woj's report sped up a lot of this process, Joe.
Okay. So Bloodhound asked a good question, and I don't think everybody knows this, but did Shams say it was a done deal with JJ Redick?
He said he was the Lakers were zeroing in.
Okay, another scam word. So Bloodhound, no. I don't remember. I
heard infatuated with Riley-esque as far as him and Jovan.
Pay attention to the
zeroing in. Zeroing
in means nothing, guys. It means nothing. I'm zeroing in on Jessica Alba the other day.
How many
that doesn't mean anything.
How many fighter pilots? How many fighter pilots zeroed in on the Red Baron?
It means nothing. I zeroed in on the kamikaze plane coming in to my face. How about that?
Yeah, these are important words. It's a done deal.
It's important for those who don't know this, who don't pay attention to this, to pay attention for the rest of your life, especially within the next 6 months, because the next 6 months you're going to see a lot of that stuff. A lot of that stuff. Pay attention to the scam words, the buzzwords, the red words, the black words, whatever you want to call it. It's scam. I like the scam because it's what it is. It's a scam, manipulative word. I don't want to hear zeroing in. If you're a real insider, you give us information. When you watched Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel do a review of a movie, they didn't sit there and go, well, we zeroed in on this film. No. Roger Ebert said this movie sucked. He wrote books on it. And the people around him, like Martin Scorsese, listened. And if Martin Scorsese's listening to you and you're criticizing him, you have no shot at ever going above his speech. And a lot of it comes down to, there's a great clip with that, by the way, of how honest Roger was. There's a clip where him and Gene Siskel were on a talk show, and Chevy Chase was sitting next to him, and he pretty much took a nice dump on Three Amigos, which was totally uncalled for because Three Amigos is a great movie. But he right there in front of Chevy Chase said, I wasn't a big fan of Three Amigos. So we want honesty, folks. If you're going to be someone that took an oath as a journalist or whatever it is that you're in the media, you guys have this ethical oath, whatever. I don't even know if there's an oath, actually. It's just whatever. But point is, you're supposed to be media people that tell the truth, right? Isn't that what the media is there for? To keep things honest? Well, I want to know what really is going on if you're going to yap your gums. If you don't know what's going on, then shut your mouth. I don't want to hear zeroing in. I don't want to hear they're thinking about it. I don't want to hear they brought someone to brunch and they fed them shrimp cocktails. I don't care about any of that crap. I want to know what we found out here on Wednesday. They're talking to Dan Hurley. Oh, crap. Now we have to speed this thing up. And that's what happened.
It said, Pale Fox. I don't remember which reporter said that the Lakers were reportedly gearing up James Borrego, Rondo as assistants. And it's just, this has been a mess. This has been a circus from the very get-go.
And this is not, this is a difficult situation for the Lakers.
Well, the whole Borrego thing is funny to me because he's still an assistant with the Pelicans.
But the thing that bothers me,
why the hell would they allow him to coach the Lakers?
But the thing that bothers me is when they make a mistake, or they, the Jovan Buhaus, the Shams, the Wojs, anybody out there makes a mistake, they don't say, you know what, I blew it. I was given this information by my source. It's actually this. When we here, we try to make it, when we say something incorrect or we don't give appropriate credit, we try to, on a following show, to give that person credit or, change, if we make a mistake, we try to correct it.
I always go back to Jack Haley, God rest his soul. Jack Haley on Fox Sports Net was an analyst there. Good man, good person too. He was a good guy. He made one mistake. He said Carlos Boozer's coming to LA. This is the first time when Carlos Boozer was in his prime. It didn't happen, and he didn't have a job after that. We're not holding people accountable like we used to. We're not holding them accountable, the media. Because I think ultimately the crowd wants this. And we've seen evidence of it with podcasts. All these, buzzwords is Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine was taking a leak on a bush outside the crypt. Does that mean he's coming to LA? You have 1,000 people going over there. They want to see what happened. So maybe we're in the wrong. Maybe we need to jump on that bandwagon. Maybe honesty isn't what people want. That's a whole argument on itself. Is that what we want? Is that what the crowd wants? I think this is playing out the way it's supposed to. This is actually the way it's supposed to go. Because if you notice, a lot of that chatter has been gone. So we need to thank Woj this time for doing what he did. Because now we have just Dan Hurley. Oh, they'll get JJ if they don't get that. But it's like a side note, not really talking about that. It's more of people waiting now. Those who hate the Lakers, they're waiting for Hurley to say no. And for those who are Laker fans and people who watch the Lakers are like, ooh, this is a good story. You have a hothead who's coming to LA. They're going to offer him $100 million allegedly. And if they do, that means they're not just going to hire this guy to sit there and be Frank Vogel. They're going to let this guy make decisions. They're going to let an outsider from Jersey, from Connecticut, to make decisions now. Why? Maybe all that ribbing that we have been screaming at Rob and Jeannie, maybe it finally, I'm not saying it was directly from us, but maybe it finally resonated. Maybe it finally got to where it needed to go.
From us, Joe.
Joe.
No, it did come from us. But
Joe, Who's the best actor to come from Jersey to Hollywood?
In my book, James Gandolfini.
Oh, really?
But there's a lot of Jersey
I'd
actors, I'm sure.
say Ray
but
Liotta.
from what I know, James Gandolfini.
I'd say Ray Liotta, but that
I think James is a better actor than Ray Liotta. God rest his soul. God rest both their souls. I think you could say that they're different actors, but in my view, there's things that there were places James could go that I don't think Ray could go. But Ray did what he did. What was great about Ray Liotta is the guy was a community guy, and he never said no.
But did Gandolfini go to Hollywood though? Did he become a Hollywood guy? Because Liotta became a Hollywood guy.
I don't know necessarily if. Well, he was in movies in the off seasons.
All I'm saying is there are crossovers. There are people.
You could have said if he had only done The Sopranos, like Van Zandt and Paulie and those guys. Well, even Paulie, Tony Sirico. Tony Sirico was in movies. He was in prominent movies.
He was in Mean Streets.
But there's a lot of actors that they got from Jersey.
And anyway, the point I'm making is there are guys from Jersey who go to Hollywood and embrace the lifestyle and become successes, but they still stay Jersey. There's nothing to say that, and that's what I'm reading a lot about, Gerald, is that a lot of people are saying, well, if Hurley goes to the Lakers, Jersey stays in Jersey. It doesn't. That's not part of that's baked into the cake. Like if you're hiring Dan Hurley, you're hiring the Jersey guy.
Now, if you actually believe what Bleacher Report is saying, and Bloodhound did alert me to it, so I want to give you props, Bloodhound, on this, that supposedly, and I say that word loosely, Joe might like the sound of this, that Jay Wright from Villanova is a stealth candidate in case it doesn't work out with Dan Hurley. I don't know how legit that is. Again, he's in his 60s already, Joe. You've always been very high on him. He's always been your choice. So I know it would please you, but would you want to commit long-term to a guy that's already in his 60s?
Yes.
And yes, High Octane Jersey Mike's is amazing.
If you asked me right now that Jay Wright is a legitimate candidate and all that needs to be done to get him as the head coach is Hurley saying no, I'm praying that Hurley says no.
Okay.
Jay Wright is exactly.
I'll take him above the podcaster.
He is exactly what this team needs. And you give that guy, look, Jay Wright may be 62, but that guy looks and acts much lower than 62. He's got everything that you want in leadership, in the coaching. Again, he's another one in college that implemented a NBA style type culture. Look at what his boys are doing in New York. If they didn't get killed with injuries, they might have had a better run here, So you want to talk about the next Pat Riley, folks, you all know who that is. You don't believe me? Go on YouTube, watch the last second shot against North Carolina in 2016 and see how that man reacted.
I'm just going to say this, Joe, as I'm typing in my different varying Jersey Mike orders. Hassan's saying, hey, fellas, we got to build like champions again. I think that's the problem, Joe. You and others have said we need to build around what we have. Myself, Stone, Sean, I think to an extent. Let me get you back in here, Sean. I'm sorry. I always got to make sure when you're typing and you're not. But Sean and myself and Stone have said we need to totally rebuild. That means clear it on out. So I think as long as you have that division of what we really need to do for this organization, that's always a problem. So because if we have that conversation, are they having that conversation in El Segundo as well?
Mm-hmm.
If you want to rebuild, then you'd have to convince LeBron to go away
and trade AD.
No,
many assets that you get.
I'm
Then-
not trading AD.
And you're not cleaning the slate, Joe.
No. I'm not trading a
but then you're not
31-year-old
cleaning the
AD.
slate.
Clear it to the
Then you're not
shed.
cleaning the slate.
No.
Yes, you're not
no.
cleaning this. Well,
No,
you just
I'm
said
building around AD. No,
well, then you're not
That's
cleaning the
dumb.
slate. You're not.
Why would you
rebuilding.
clear the slate of a 31-year-old superstar?
30 going on 32?
No, he just turned 31. No, absolutely not. No,
You're not cleaning
80s,
the slate then.
80, no, that's not cleaning the slate. That's a stupid decision.
No.
Why would you trade a guy who's a star at 31? You build with that guy for the next 3 to 4 years. You have stability there. You have people who would want to come and play with AD. No,
He is.
You're not getting return. You're not going to get even value for that anyways. So I'm not trading him. No.
Then
Absolutely
you're not
not.
clear. Then you're not cleaning house.
No, you clean. So you get rid of LeBron, and then D'Lo doesn't sign. You got plenty of money there at that point to go get players.
You don't have as much money as you think you do.
Well, you have
With
enough
Anthony
to
Davis's
start building
contract,
around AD, and then when you have somebody like Jay Wright or Dan Hurley, now you can start creating a new culture. Remember, Anthony Davis is not like LeBron. Anthony Davis is very, very. He's not on social media talking about how he wants to go skip with strawberry shortcakes with Kyrie Irving and everybody every time somebody does something good. Okay, Anthony Davis is a thorough person. Anthony Davis is focused on what he does, and I want that kind of culture. And he plays both sides of the damn court. Who in the NBA does that? Now, no one, barely anybody. Maybe Drew Holiday, which is why the Celtics are winning right now. That's the trade. That's the Paul Gasol trade acquisition of 2024. That acquisition looks like.
So you're telling me somebody in the last, well, let's say 5 seasons, 36, 40, 56, 60, 62, 36, 40, 56, and 76 games. So he does not normally give you a full NBA season. You're okay with that?
What did he do this year?
He did 76 this year. What did he do the year before?
Don't talk to me about anything else, please.
Well, what did he do the past 2 seasons?
We can sit here. We can talk about, will he play 76 games? Yeah, we can say that about anybody. He played 76 games this year. Why would I go and say, is he going to play 70 games?
Don't tell me, though, that you're saying clear out and you're not.
No, I didn't say clear out. I said you got to clear out LeBron.
No, you're talking about one individual.
LeBron is the culture changer. You get rid of LeBron, now you can start putting a new culture in LA. You can't put a new culture with LeBron there.
Oh, you're talking D'Lo too.
LeBron is going to run like LeBron runs. That's
okay. Well, Sean, myself, and Stone says we want to clean it all out and start over.
No, I'm not clearing out Anthony Davis. Sorry.
Okay, then you're not.
No, I'm not going to go and watch Rob Sacre and Ryan Kelly and Tarek Black again because I want to start over. No, I'm not doing that. No, absolutely not. No, not when you have Anthony Davis at 31. If Anthony Davis was 34, 35, yeah.
Well, we have Rob Pelinka anyways, who hasn't, since 2020 hasn't done.
Yeah, you have Rob Pelinka, but Rob Pelinka right now is trying to change the culture. He's part of this, right? Or at least Genie's making him do it. No, not doing it. No, absolutely not.
Okay.
What do you guys do? Do you guys type like this? What is this? What is this?
He is like.
I've been typing this whole time. You don't hear me typing.
It's right on his mic. That's why I have to mute him. It's right on his mic. It's like the keyboard is right on his mic.
What is this? Why are you typing like this? Jesus Christ. I'm trying to balance Sean and you, and then out of nowhere, you come out of nowhere. Well, you guys don't understand. We got to start over. Well, that's part of it too, Michael, is the Lakers have to have a star, which is good because stars win games. Stars are good. I'm not getting rid of a top 10 defender and top 5 defender and a top 5 offensive weapon
the Lakers,
when used correctly.
The issue with Kobe's last 3 seasons is the Lakers didn't have a plan. They didn't have a plan. They didn't have a plan for Kobe at the end of his career. They didn't have a plan for Kobe's ultimate retirement.
Joe types with one finger.
And that more than anything else led them to the ditch of ineptitude we were in.
For me, it just goes back to AD, Sean, that when he signed that extension, he left tens of millions of dollars by not waiting until the summer to do so. Why is that?
Because
Why
he
is that?
wanted to cash in
Because he knows the health of his own body.
Yes, that's right, Gerald.
So it's fine. I'm hoping he has the season and continues to have the seasons like he does right now. But if it goes back to where he's only playing 40 games a season, you're going to be pissed off, Joe, and we're going to have to hear about it.
You can't live in your fears.
Okay.
And he's living in reality.
And you're always talking about getting a third star.
So your idea of retooling is to go to scratch for no reason.
I don't know.
You don't have to.
Okay, OKC's done a good job of it. It's about who is building it. And wait, hold on. Let me see this magic real quick. It's not about what we can get, what trades, or what blowing things up or not. It's who's doing all this. Do we have that right person in place?
Doesn't matter right now. Like we have to find out who the coach is going to be. If they
Rob
end up
makes
getting Dan Hurley or Jay Wright, that's obvious evidence that they do want a culture change. There's no way. What? They're going to hire and pay this guy $100 million so that Rob can continue to do what he's doing? Drafting Big Ten players?
Evaluate talent better. That's all I'll say. Go ahead.
Rob is a general manager type where he needs to make sure that the lights are on. That's what he should be doing. He should not be involved in player acquisitions.
Isn't that what personnel. The Motel 6 says?
Yes. We'll leave out. She needs to be
he's the vice president of operations.
He needs to make sure the lights are on for everybody. That's it. Jeannie, we already know what Jeannie does. Okay. Jeannie tells us about her personal life, about how she sleeps in a different house than her husband. And she has to talk about how she's, parading with things. Like, that's what she does.
Well, unfortunately, he is the guy that makes the calls. He is the guy that makes the trades. He is the guy that makes the draft choices. He is the guy ultimately that makes the personnel decisions. So you can say that Hurley at $100 million.
So define compelling. That's the word we heard today, which is very bad, by the way.
I'm just saying you still have the same.
Lakers gave a compelling offer. Is that what? That's what this all was about.
I want to know what the offer is.
Compelling?
I want to know this.
This is not good. This is not a good word.
Whatever coach we have, we still have Rob as the guy pulling all the strings. Is that going to be good going forward?
The power of Christ.
What kind of question is that?
The power. Did you just hear what I said? Tells you.
No, actually, I didn't.
The power of Christ.
You out after
why would you hire Dan Hurley for $100 million so that you could do exactly what you've been doing?
Because it's still the same person evaluating the talent.
Then why are you paying a coach $100 million for what?
He's not going to make the trades, Joe.
You.
Rob is.
The power of Christ compels you.
That makes zero sense.
You're saying makes zero sense.
Common sense says it doesn't make sense. Why would you pay somebody $100 million and tell them this is your team, change the culture, and then you go back and do exactly what you're doing?
Joe,
Dan Hurley only has limited as far as input into the team.
There's no way.
So you're going to say he has full input onto trades.
You got me so angry. I'm going to eat a watermelon right now.
Good. You stay that way.
Watermelon is good.
Rob is going to be still pulling the strings.
Yeah, but
unfortunately, where you like
what strings? From where? Your ass? Where?
Yours, most likely. But Mike, you're right. Pelinka has to go too. Go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
Pelinka's not going anywhere.
Oh my God.
Sean, help us here.
I'm trying to get a word.
What Gerald's saying, this is not I'm not interpreting this a wrong way. He's saying that they're going to go pay this guy all this money to come over here so that they can do exactly what they've been doing.
So you don't think Rob is just going to take a back seat as soon as Dan Hurley gets here?
What do you want him to do?
You're not listening. I asked you a question. You did not answer it. I said, you think Rob is just going to take a back seat and have the responsibility for any personnel transactions?
If he's smart, yeah. You let that man that you're paying $100 million build his team.
Okay.
You let that man who you're paying $100 million allegedly,
if he's smart,
you let him decide. Yes, that's why you're paying him that money.
Okay, not going to happen, Joe.
When you paid Phil Jackson in 2000, 1999, 2000,
Robert's still going to be making a lot of those personnel decisions.
You let Phil Jackson pick his staff. You let him decide what happens on that court. It was so bad that Jerry West left because
Hurley will have some input. I'm not saying he won't have input. I'm just telling you the day-to-day player operations, the trades, the draft choices, a lot of that is still going to go through Rob Pelinka. Sean, I'm sorry. We keep back and forth, but go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, no, Gerald, I was going to just bring this up. So 2019-2020 was the championship. Since then, look at it this way. You had a pretty house. And Pelinka decided, well, you know what? It's a fine house, but it's not a very, very, very fine house. We need to make some changes. So he decided to renovate the house. And Gerald, he renovated the house and he went to the bathroom and decided that there needed to be a new sink. But when he took the sink out, the pipes behind it were lead. So not only do I need a new sink, I need new pipes. So he ripped the pipes out. And behind the pipes, there was rotting wood. And now we're in 2022, 2023. And so I need a new sink, I need new pipes, and I need new wood. And then he finds out that he needs new drywall behind the wood. See, this is a problem with Pelinka, and why a lot of us think that you should just rip it to the studs is because he keeps thinking that he has to renovate a house that never gets fixed. He can never put a house on the market because he's constantly renovating things that don't need to be touched. But Laker fans, on the other hand, the other half of us, don't think that we need to renovate a house. Just buy a new one. Just get that third star. Just buy a new house. That's all. You don't need to renovate the old one. Just buy a new one. We can't agree. Half of us think we should renovate the old house, and the other half think we should buy a new house.
By the way, Pale Fox, I think Wood is playing for his NBA survival at this point.
Christian Wood?
Yeah, that's what Pale Fox was asking.
Oh, God, please decline your extension.
He is not. It's only the job he's going to get.
Please, 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 please decline your option.
It's unfortunate that his focus can't stay ahead of him. It's just not in the cards, folks. It's too much distractions, too much headache, and there are worse players to have play every now and then, but it is what it is. At this point,
I'd rather have DJ Benga.
That'd be a good debate.
I'd rather have DJ Benga.
DJ Benga was not good, though.
He was not good.
Christian Wood is actually skilled.
DJ Benga.
But that's because you saw DJ play on championship teams. It's much easier to
but
appreciate those guys.
I also saw DJ get a double-double every now and again because he did pay attention once in a while. Christian Wood is the Josh Powell. He is the 2.0 Josh Powell. He's buddies with LeBron. Same Josh Powell was buddies with Kobe. Josh Powell couldn't play in the NBA. Where did he end up playing after the Lakers, Gerald?
Who? Josh Powell? Was it
He went
New
to
York?
China.
Oh, China. Oh, okay.
He went to China.
Well, I guess not everybody can be what we want them to be, but at this point, we're gonna
be something other than a stiff block of wood, which is literally what his name is.
We're gonna be on call, guys. For those of you watching, we're gonna be on call. I know most of you are gonna be working. Likely when this thing gets out, we'll be on call. I've actually opened up tomorrow. Usually Mondays are my busiest days. I've actually opened it up to where I don't have to worry about. I mean, I guess it could still happen, but I've tried to open up my schedule so that in case an announcement happens right around 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the
I'm
morning.
not on hold time, so
Yeah.
I'll actually be awake most likely.
Yeah.
So. You guys were sending me messages at 3 a.m. in the morning, and I'm just like,
yeah. Did it sound like this?
Well,
no,
see, Gerald, you had an
I wasn't on the other end of the text.
Excuse. Joe was just farting around.
But anyways, we'll be here, as early as we can.
Well, okay. So with that, we'll end the show with farting around. Apparently,
That's what you do a lot of the time.
That's not what I was doing, but if that's
that is what you were doing.
I was being productive.
I think Joe was making some good points.
Yeah, my points are thorough, but people don't want to hear thorough.
I have some good points as well.
The wind, that's a thorough.
And if you got a problem with that, Sean, you know where I am.
I do. Actually, I don't.
Actually, no, you
don't
do.
Know your
all you got to do is look up.
I don't know
the
your physical address.
All you got to do is look up the address of where I congregate.
You're in the phone book.
I am. I don't have phone books. This is 2024.
No, Scarlett, I think it's going to come up in the morning.
If I looked at a San Diego phone book, your name and address would be in it.
It'll be in Temecula. It's called Sin Blades on Winchester
Remember,
Road.
UConn has a practice in the morning, so he'll probably have to go ahead and talk
I'm giving him my home address. He's giving me his business address, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
I need the room to,
Oh, no, yeah.
To drop your ass.
That's why we call it the nightcap, Pale, because it just goes off the tangent.
Yes, it's the nightcap without the nightcap lately because I'm trying to, and it's working apparently, guys. I had some very interesting things happen this week, and I'll end on this note. I got carded twice this week.
He's proud of himself.
I got carded twice, not one, twice. What's going on? Are there people out there that have gray beards, faking gray beards to get into places now?
Where were you
carded? But it was just TSA.
Huh?
Where were you carded?
I was carded at a cigar shop.
Yeah.
And I was carded at the event, the Gorilla, for drinks.
Robert, thanks for your info that you were dropping.
Actually, I was carded at the Yard House.
Did you ask them why?
No, I was just flattered.
So part of that is the company policy that they have to ask you for your card.
Okay. So,
like when you go to the state of Utah and you want to buy beer,
do I have to go to the state of Utah?
If you don't have ID, they won't sell you beer no matter how old you are.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said,
that's why they asked you for ID.
No. But anyways, well, Sean loses the last argument of tonight. We'll end it there. And I want to thank you all for being here to witness it. There was a lot of intriguing information here tonight. A lot of loud noises.
Usually coming from you.
A lot of loud noises that were unnecessary during the discussion.
Coming from you.
But I noticed that the noises went down a little bit when I went crazy, which is why I go crazy. For those of you who want
loud noises were coming from your home.
You gonna let me finish?
No.
Okay. So I want to thank you all for being here tonight. And it does suck that the Celtics are up 2-0. It's looking like they're on the path to get 18 before the Lakers. Didn't think that was going to happen after 2020, but it's going to happen, which means it's going to be very important that this next move that the Lakers make allow them to put themselves in the right course so they can start winning again. But until then, any comments, any questions, please email us at LakersFastBreak at yahoo.com. You can contact me at Joe Soro LFB on X, or on Instagram, SinBlades_turf on Instagram, or on Facebook as Johnny Blade with the Punisher logo on there. I'm usually available for any kind of instant messenger, instant message. Some of you have hit me up. Again, anytime, guys. I'm usually on my phone because I conduct a lot of business on the phone, do a lot of my research on the phone as well. But again, thank you for being here tonight, and we'll be back tomorrow. I don't know the time yet. Likely same time tomorrow night, 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, unless there's breaking news. And then at that point, we will, you guys will probably hear the news too, and then we'll be on here discussing those details. And till then, thanks, Sean. Thanks, Gerald. Thanks, everybody in the chat for being here tonight. I guess until next time, I'll see you next time.
I really hope a California condor just